Hello, I'm Daniel Sketchley.
And I'm Callum Dan.
We've been friends for more than 10 years, sharing lifelong passions such as film and music,
But most importantly, football, through the ups and the downs.
the celebration and the heartbreak.
However, he's a blue nose.
And he's a villain.
This is the Second City podcast.
Hello, Callum, and welcome back, everyone, to the Second City podcast. How are you this week, my friend? You all good?
I'm really good, thank you. Hello to everyone who's watching and listening all around the globe. Really good, really good. It's got very, very cold though. Like today, it was snowing here. I don't know where it was for you.
Yeah, it was trying to snow as I was leaving work. Yeah, it's so cold. This is a sub-zero edition of the Second City podcast. Hence why I've gone, as we'll get on to, I've just gone for an older shirt that doesn't fit me anymore because I cannot just sit in a t-shirt and do the podcast tonight. It's like freezing. Even just walking
Dan,
out,
so
it's
like,
freezing. Well ahead of the game.
yeah.
But yeah, speaking of everyone listening around the globe, pretty mad week for us. Our first proper podcast of the new year, our first like full one
Yeah.
in 2024. So happy New Year to everyone, of course. But yeah, really mad week for us. Yeah, the podcast just had a real, for us, just a real like explosion of interest, which was really nice. This is just something we started doing for fun, and yeah, just really nice to have a bit of like thank you to everyone who's watching and listening, and like that the video we did in person with where Callum was in Birmingham, which we did like our review of 2023. Just yeah, got like by far our biggest video. So hopefully we can keep up that kind of attention.
Yeah, and we had a lot of lovely comments on that video as well. So thank you very
Yeah.
much for all the kind words. Obviously, we're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, obviously. So,
Sure.
but
Yeah, I
for
think
everyone
one or
who's
two maybe missed. Yeah, one or two maybe missing the point. I think.
yeah,
Whatever. Whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we said this way back on the first one of these we did. What was it, 6 or 7 months ago? You know, this is all about keeping your friends close, but your enemies closer. So,
Yeah.
know your
No, for
enemy.
sure. Yeah, but good time to kind of try and get a bit of interesting because obviously it's been really mad times at both Blues and Villa, and we're going to be hopefully keeping everyone updated as to what's going on in football in Birmingham. So that's what we do here. So yeah, thank you to everyone who's subscribing and jumping on board. We do really appreciate it. One person in particular, a really big fan, a celebrity fan. So a bit of backstory. So we did a Secret Santa in our friendship group for Christmas this year, as we do every year. And I had Callum, and I got him
Yeah,
a very special, personalised message from one of
none
his
other.
favourite,
Yeah,
none
none
other
other.
than none other than this man. He had some nice words to say on the podcast, and we'll play that video now.
All right, Callum, I've been asked to send you a message from Dan. So I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas, mate. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Hope you have a great time, whatever you're doing. Also, Dan, I wish you a Merry Christmas as well, because you've asked me to send this letter. And congrats on the podcast launching. I hear you both have a podcast called Second City Podcast, which is doing brilliantly, talking about Blues and Villa. So that's magnificent. But let me tell you one thing. The only reason why people are listening is for the blue stuff. Keep right on. Take care. Merry Christmas. Keep up the good work. Take care.
Clinton Morrison wished me a
Yeah,
happy
top
Christmas.
man.
It wasn't on my bingo card for 2023.
No.
I'll be honest with you, Dan.
No, yeah, top man, Clinton, and thank you so much for sorting that for us and for the nice words. Should probably give the man a plug. Cameo if you'd like Clinton's
Yeah.
cameo.com if you would like Clinton to send you a similar message. Very nice of him.
I'll be honest with you, Dan. It was better than the last Secret Santa present you got for me like 6 years
Yeah.
ago, which
I
was
remember what it was.
the bloody playoff final defeat, Fulham's anniversary DVD of the playoff
Yeah.
final.
Yeah,
Crikey.
went all out that year. 10 quid on a DVD of Fulham beating Villa. But yeah, cool. So we're gonna this week. Obviously, there's some huge news today with Blues. Obviously, following up from the news last week that Rooney had gone. Huge news today that Tony Mowbray has come in permanently as the new Blues manager. So we'll get onto that very shortly. That'll be like our main topic this week, obviously. We'll get on to, obviously, Callum's got many thoughts on the Villa badge. There was an announcement or a leak this week, I think.
A leak, yeah.
Villa's slightly horrific new badge. I think it's fair to say. I think even some Villa fans would agree on that. And yeah, then we'll get into, obviously it was the FA Cup third round this weekend. We'll get into that and we'll look ahead to what's coming up next week as well. But first we start where we almost always do with what we're wearing. So this is where I'll wear a blue shirt, kind of wear a Villa shirt, and we'll just talk about like our memories of that season, our thoughts on that kit, looking back and so on, and what we had going on in our lives at that point and so on. Should we start with you, Cal? Because you've gone very, very left field this week.
Good luck with this one, Dan. It does look like I'm in striped pajamas. Yeah,
it does. Yeah. I'm gonna go.
I'll give you a clue. I'll give you a bit of a clue. It is a Score Draw remake, but I had saved this shirt for this exact game week.
Okay, so it's probably
there is a theme.
It's probably a year you won the FA Cup.
It was the last time we.
So we're going way back,
Cup.
way back. All right, in that case, 1883 home shirt. No, when did you last win the FA Cup? Did you win it in the? No. It's got to be. It can't be any later than the 70s, surely. I'm gonna go 1970 exactly. Home would be my guess.
This was our 1957 FA Cup final shirt. So this was a special edition shirt for the FA Cup final where we beat Manchester United. Yeah, we haven't won the FA Cup since 1957. It's a pretty crazy thing to say. We finished 10th in the league.
We've never won it, if it makes you feel better.
We had Eric Houghton as our manager. We won 2-1 in the FA Cup final. Almost 100,000 people at Wembley. But Dan, we did beat West Bromwich Albion in the semi-final. And we did it. We had to play those two semi-finals because there was a replay because we drew the first time we played them in the semi-final at Molineux. We beat West Bromwich Albion at St Andrews 1-0 in the replay.
Weird. Okay. Imagine that now. Imagine
that
I know.
Now.
I'm trying to do that now.
The stadium would fall apart.
Well, not anymore. Not anymore.
Yeah, you fix the floodlights. It's fine now.
Oh, we got not just fix them. The floodlights are insane now. They're like incredible. No, fair enough. I would have thought you'd won the FA Cup more recently than that. Probably enough.
We've got to a few finals and lost them. So obviously, the most recent one was 2015. I think was it 2000? We lost the FA Cup final to Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea. Yeah.
So we've had quite a few chances to win the FA Cup. And a little interesting tidbit, actually. So my dad has seen us win the league, the European Cup, the League Cup. He's pretty much seen us win everything. The Super Cup. He's never seen us win the FA Cup. It's the only like major trophy he's never seen us win. So,
how many have you seen, Villa win?
I mean, I've seen the Peace Cup, the Cup of Traditions, the playoff final.
Wow.
Whatever it was, we won when we beat Valencia in the summer.
Intertoto Cup. Did you see that one?
Oh yeah, we did win we did win the Intertoto Cup as well. So
classic.
All the big ones.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Maybe not just pajamas then. Maybe there is some heritage. No, fair enough.
What about you, Dan? So your one's behind you.
Yes.
I'm gonna grab it down.
Yes. So as I said earlier, it's so cold out here that I thought I'd use just one. That I will get back on wearing shirts soon, don't worry. But I mean, I wear shirts anyway, obviously. But no. What do you think? So this is a white Umbro. It's like blue trim, very tatty. It's kind of the
fish and chip investments.
Yeah, it's all come off in the wash, bit battered up here. But yeah.
God.
If you need a clue, I haven't worn one from this season yet. So we're territory.
I'm gonna the year that springs to mind. It's giving me was it 07, 08? It's giving me 2007 vibes around that because I'm pretty sure there was there a Penguin kit either before or after this one? We're gonna go 06, 07.
Oh, stick to your instincts. 2007, 8 away.
You know what? I'm pretty sure I recognize it from like the Match Attacks books or something.
Probably. I'll just put it back up. Yeah. 2007, 08 away. quite a difficult one though, because this was one of those years where obviously we wear blue and white anyway, and we had a white away kit, but then had a red third kit. So we barely ever wore that one actually. But yes, that's 2007, so we would have been about 10, 10 when that kit came out. And yeah, so this year we'd first of all, nice kit, when in its full glory, when it's not like 15, 16, 17 years old. But yeah, this year we'd just been promoted under Steve Bruce, where we came second. And then this year this was the year when McLeish came in halfway through. So like players we brought in this year, we would have brought in Muamba on a permanent, Gary O'Connor, Oliver Capo, Liam Ridgewell. And we ended up getting relegated, and it kind of it never really looked like but there's some great games this year. One of my favorite Blues games ever. Wasn't in this kit, but we played Spurs away in December in McLeish's first game, and we won 3-2 away. And we were 2-1 down. Robbie Keane scored twice, then got sent off, and then Cameron Jerome scored a wicked equaliser. And then in the 93rd minute, I think it was, Seb Larsson scored like a 35-yard absolute belter, like unreal goal. So if you'd asked me then, I'd have been really confident we were going to turn it around and stay up that year. But wasn't to be. But we did beat them 4-1 then at St Andrews as well, Spurs. So something against them that season. And this season was also the mad game where against Arsenal at home, where Eduardo broke his leg.
Of course, yeah. Was it 2-2?
Yeah, obviously people remember it for the Eduardo thing, but that game on every level was like insane. That is like an all-time Premier League classic. It's like an incredible game.
Probably, yeah.
James McFadden had just signed for us, and he scored a mad free kick. Arsenal turned it around to 2-1, and then we got a penalty in the last minute, which McFadden scored.
Oh yeah, William Gallas was like sat on
the pitch. Yeah, he like walked to the length of the pitch and sat down for the penalty and started crying at full time, which was pretty mad. So yeah, we went down, but then I don't know, got some good memories of it and nice kit. So yeah, that's 07-08 away. That is.
And if you want more memories on that season from Dan, because obviously that's a McLeish era shirt, you can go and check out our Second City story on Alex McLeish that we did. God, 4 months ago.
It was the first one we did, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was ages ago.
Yeah, so check it out. Yeah, because we talk about his time at Blues and Villa and kind of what I did in Midlands football. So yeah, interesting times. But onto even more interesting times.
What a rollercoaster, Dan. New manager again.
Yeah, this is our 21st episode of this podcast, and this is our second episode talking about a new manager at Blues. After obviously Rooney. And
we briefly talked about the possibility of Rooney being replaced for another manager, and we did band Tony Mowbray's name about. I can't remember what episode it was. It must have been like just before Christmas. It could have even been around the time where like it was an asteroid from space or something. Yeah, I definitely remember saying Tony Mowbray would be a great appointment if you binned off Rooney, and here we are.
Yeah, I mean, so Mowbray obviously been at the game for about a year now. Because what matter?
No, he's recently
about a month. Sorry, I meant to say. Yeah, sorry. Because he got sacked by. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. He got sacked by Sunderland. Mowbray comes in with huge experience in the Championship. He obviously managed Sunderland, got them into the playoffs last year. Was only there for just over a year, I think. But he was at Blackburn for about 5 years, and when he went there, they'd just been relegated. They got relegated soon after, but was kind of a sinking ship anyway. He brought them back up and kept them up there, and kind of turned them into a sort of top third Championship team, I would say.
Yeah.
Managed West Brom back in the day, and got them promoted, and they came back down, but he did get them into the playoffs and then get them promoted in his first 2 seasons. So he's a man with huge championship experience and, by all accounts, plays nice football, develops young players really well, and he's just a very. If the Rooney appointment was a huge risk, this is like just so sensible, if you know what I mean. It's such a obviously you can always go wrong. There's always a chance it will go wrong, but it's so just so sensible and like I don't want to use the word safe because that sounds like derogatory to him, which isn't what I mean. I think it's just a very smart appointment, I
Smart
guess.
appointment, I think, is probably better than safe appointment.
Yeah, I go back on what I said on our episode last week where we just talked about Rooney quickly being sacked. I think I said something like, "Oh, he's been a success at everywhere, like Celtic." Like Mowbray's time at Celtic, wasn't a success. Didn't do very well there in his brief time. But other than that, his championship record is very, very good. And he's not. I think there's a bit of a perception. I think it's because he's not a glamorous name. He wasn't like compare it to the Rooney thing. Rooney's
It's
obviously was a
the
world-class
sexy
player.
name managers, isn't it?
Yes, like Tony Mowbray does not scream sexy, as we've said on this podcast about Rooney. But I just who cares about that? I think he will play nice football. By all accounts, people will rave about some of the football he plays at this level. And that Sunderland team he took over had just been promoted into the Championship, and they had the youngest squad in the whole division, and he
Quite
got them into the
comfortably as well.
playoffs. Yeah, and they were he did a really really good job there. Um, it's it's hard. I don't know if other Blues fans agree with me, but we've had so many managers. This is our 13th consecutive season in the Championship, and we're on to our 13th manager in that time. And most of them are from like 2016 onwards. So it's our like how many managers? We've had 11 managers in like 8 years. So it is hard to get excited about a new manager coming in. It's not what it was, if you know what I mean. It's not like when we'd get one in every 4 or 5 years. We have one every year on average, probably.
I mean, the amount of seasons you've had you've had 3 managers is quite crazy, really, for that
Yeah,
time period.
yeah, it really is. So it is hard to. The Rooney thing was so intriguing that was maybe different, and then when maybe Bowyer came in because he's got like that history with the club, I'd say was quite exciting. But otherwise, it is quite hard to get excited about a new manager coming in. I would say now because it's just so regular, and you see these press releases, and they are so similar every time. But no, I think it's very sensible, and I am, despite having said that, I am optimistic about where it could all go. Um, so yeah, Tony Mowbray. I look forward to seeing where he goes from here. I don't know what you think about it from the outside looking in, but
Well, I think it's the best appointment you could have made realistically, because I didn't for one second think you were going to get Steve Cooper.
no, I mean,
I'm all for clubs being ambitious. I think to us when we were trying to maybe get Pochettino and we ended up with Unai Emery, ambitious appointments. I think we even tried to get Thomas Tuchel. But I think of all the realistic appointments you could have made, I think you've made a really good one. He did a fantastic job at Sunderland, and you've got a lot of youth players. Jordan James, young player.
although on a side note, rumored to be leaving very soon.
Or,
But
yeah,
that's just an example.
if he hangs around, you never know,
Yeah,
because
just a rumor.
Joe Bellingham left to go to Sunderland because of Tony Mowbray. Like that,
Yeah,
that was
true.
one of the big reasons. So the irony there that he's ended up with Michael Beale, and if he'd have stayed, he'd have had Tony Mowbray. But that is what it is. That's football. So and Blues have always had this really good, a bit like Villa as well, with that tradition of bringing players through the academy and into the first team. There's always been a pathway at these clubs for young players. And so I think he'll be a really good fit with that, especially if you get the academy back up to grade 1 as well.
Yeah, no, yeah, I completely agree. It said his assistant, I think his name's Mark Venus, long term, always been his assistant manager, was joining him. No word on Ashley Cole and John O'Shea. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm not sure if they're going to be sticking around. I didn't expect them to, but I didn't expect them to be around for the whole game at the weekend. So who knows? They may well be. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there if they do. But yeah, it's as we were saying on the Rooney one, they kind of had to stick or twist, and they're either going to have to get rid of Rooney or stick with him for a while because January's here. Probably going to spend a little bit of money, bring some more players in. So it really was a crucial time to decide to make a change or not. And they have, and yeah, compared to some of the other names, like I don't think Jesse Marsh would have been a terrible appointment, but it also would have been a risk.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And yeah, I couldn't see Eustace coming back. I couldn't see Rabbit coming back, although I would have been okay with it. But this is just the most logical appointment, you know.
The worst thing John Eustace could do would have been taking that job. Like,
Yeah.
especially because of what's happened with Rooney, his stock's probably is reasonably high for a
Mm,
championship club, as whereas if he goes back to Blues and it all falls away like it was under Rooney, that's it. That's championship level management kind of over for a while. Jesse
mm,
March, on the other hand, I think he did a really good job at Red Bull Salzburg. I know it's in the Austrian league or what have you, but he did do a really good job there, and that's why he
yeah.
was originally fast tracked to RB Leipzig.
Mm,
Unfortunately, that didn't work out for him. The Leeds job, maybe it just wasn't the right fit for him. I know he had an initial bounce and what have you. Um, but I think your new ownership, this was a really important appointment because if they cocked it up like they did with Rooney, all of the good faith in the start of the season would be gone. And I truly believe that. So if you put in Jesse March in, everyone will go, well, the American ownership, American manager, is it the right appointment? And it didn't work out. It's just too much of a risk, really. And although I do think there's a good manager in there somewhere, um, Tony Mowbray is a safe punt, really. And he should get you moving up the league. He might, whether he gets you into the playoffs or not is kind of irrelevant. But if he resets the trajectory of moving away from relegation fights, that's what you kind of need to be at the moment.
yeah, completely agree. Couldn't have said it better myself. I don't necessarily agree with the thing of like Eustace could do worse. I think if you, sorry, the worst thing Eustace could do would be to come back. But I'm just thinking purely from a perspective of he lives in the area. He's a good championship manager, and if he got offered a job up the road, convenient, like good opportunity again, removing the history of it, it would make a lot of sense. But I suppose it's hard to remove that history, I guess. So I do get what you're saying at the same time. Um, but yeah, his first game will be against Swansea at the weekend. Be very interesting because they've also got uh, a new manager in their first game. I don't know when the last time that happened in the Championship or in the Premier League, where again a fixture between two managers both having their first game, other than it being like the first game of the season or something.
Yeah.
Um, but we'll get onto that later. So yeah, Tony Mowbray. We're 8 days into 2024. Yeah, very dramatic already at Blues, but not all quiet at Villa either because you had some stuff going on with your
Yes.
the Villa badge.
Oh, does it ever end? This is a badge game.
Yeah.
Here we go again, part 4. I think the last time we did a proper one of these podcasts was when Chris Heck did his sort of 9-minute interview, and he mentioned that we were going to get the new badge in the early part of January. Well, apparently that should have been released last week, but it hasn't been. I wonder why. So there was a leak last week of the rumored new Villa badge. So it's not just one of those leaks like the kits get leaked on like footy headlines or something. This is because the club had trademarked a new badge with Company's House. So they did that with the round badge and the sort of gas lamp badge when we were changing the badge whenever they did that consultation over a year ago. So just in case, if they didn't trademark the badge and then all of a sudden I could go, oh, I'm going to make this badge and register it. They then can't. So it's very, very similar. I wonder if I've got a flag here. So it's very, very similar to this sort of shield badge. This is the
Mm.
sort of the old version of the shield badge, except the lion has been moved up. It's a slightly different lion, and it then says Aston Villa at the bottom of the shield, and with 1874 just above it. And then the lion has this weird drop shadow on it as well.
Yeah.
How is that going to work on an embroidered kit? How do you embroider drop shadow into a shirt? Like,
Mm.
um, I just, I, I've kind of defended Chris Heck when he originally said he didn't want to go with the round badge because there are real limitations with that round badge in terms of the way it just sort of blends into the home shirt because of the colors used. Um, but if they were convinced about that, that is not an upgrade on the current shield badge that we've used for the last, I don't know, 8 years or whatever it is, ever since we got our first year in the championship. And, all of the data that's been collected from all of the consultations with the fans. What do the fans want? What should the badge represent? I just don't think that's it. It looks terrible. And it's not, the amount of money that's been poured into a design company to create the two original badges that were in the last badge consultation and now this one. I mean, I just don't get it. I just don't get it at all. It's terrible.
It is, yeah, it's shit. It is rubbish.
It's rubbish, yeah.
Even just removing the fact, even just not trying to be just a Blues fan saying that, it is crap. It looks rubbish. It's not quite the Leeds United badge that got revealed a few years ago.
Yeah, it's not as bad as
still,
that, but it's
no,
not far
but it's
off.
still got that like Pez like design like vibe to it. I get them not wanting to do. I get clubs not wanting to stick to a circle badge because it's so cliched now. Like everyone has them. They look to me, it also look like generic like FIFA like design Pro Evolution Soccer ones you could just design yourself in the game. But yeah, I don't see from the outside looking in how this new one is an upgrade on the one you'd used before. And also, was it something? I don't really understand why Villa's badges have over the years have had a lot of yellow on it as well.
Yeah, so like in the badge consultation with the fans, the big survey that Christian Perslow did, there was, and it was all put in a way in a press release, but the majority of fans there was a mandate for the badge to be predominantly claret and blue, so the lion to be claret because there was too much yellow. I've never minded the yellow lion, but the mandate was there for the claret lion. The mandate was there for the words Aston Villa on it, rather than AVF. Rather than like the current badge has AVFC
rather than West Brom on it.
Yeah. And there was a bit of a mandate for the 1874 to be on there as well. Originally, so when our badge was originally redesigned from the shield that I just showed you on the flag to the more up to date one with a scarier lion, and they dropped the prepared that was underneath it, was because on your digital world you can't read the prepared because it's too small. When especially if you were to go on the website, for example, and the badge is like really small on the icon, you can't read the text. So there was no point having lengthy text on a badge. And you look at any modern redesigned badge, they've got very limited text because when you reduce the size of it, you can't see it. So it's useless. So with this current weird design, you've got the Aston Villa on there, and then you've got this really tiny 1874 that you're never going to see ever. And then it's in white on the light blue, and you can't. It's a terrible design. Chris Heck, don't use it. Please don't. Just do what we said before. Just have the lion, Aston Villa, and maybe the star. That's all you need. Anyway, Dan, shall we talk about the FA Cup instead? So annoyingly, it's about an hour until the draw for the fourth round of the FA Cup. So we don't actually know who we've drawn. But if you're watching on YouTube, this is who Villa have got. And this is who Blues have got.
Blackburn away again. I knew it.
Yeah.
No. FA Cup third round this weekend. So we played Hull away. Villa played Middlesbrough away. Yeah. Before we get into this week, should we talk about years gone by? Take a trip down memory lane. Obviously, FA Cup third round, big week, very historic weekend in the football calendar. Yeah. Do you have any favourite or standout FA Cup third round memories in particular that kind of spring to mind?
I think.
Well, you get knocked out with a third round every
year.
Yeah.
I to be honest, I haven't been to a third round FA Cup game for a while. I think a lot of our recent defeats they've been away from home and what have you. So recent memories are not great, to be honest. But I mean, a lot of my favourite FA Cup memories are a bit later on down the line.
Sure.
Obviously, like the 2015 FA Cup final was like a really special day, and the semi-final before that, where we played Liverpool, was just insane. And one of my favourite games I've ever been to was that day at Wembley. Yeah, that was great. That's probably my favourite FA Cup memory. But then we haven't won in the third round in years.
Yeah,
8 years.
8 years.
Like yeah, 8 games, 7 years, something like that.
Yeah, I would have not thought. That's crazy how long that is. I ask because today we're recording this on the 8th of January. Today is 19 years to the day 19 years to the day since I went to my very first match, which was FA Cup third round against Leeds at home. We won 3-0. Emil Heskey scored and Darren Carter scored twice. That's how long ago it was. Which is pretty mad. 19 years. Another one, 2012. I don't know why I remember this. We beat Wolves away 1-0 in a replay, and Wade Elliott scored a really late goal. I don't know why I remember that so well. I don't know why. I think I watched it on ITV. It's just class. I don't know why that stands out.
That's what I love though about like footballing memories is that you'll just remember this random game that you went to or watched. Just
it was like a crappy I think Wolves were in the Premier League at the time and we were in the Championship and we're just on fire and it's just like a really Wade Elliott was like it fell on the floor and somehow managed to lash it in. It was like that's brilliant. Yeah, I don't know why I remember that so good. But
I think one of my favourite FA Cup stories as well is when you went to Blues away against Coventry in the FA Cup.
No, that's not one of my favourite. I dragged our mate Ethan to Blues away at Coventry. Fourth round, I think it was. 0-0. Josh McKeck. Anyway.
But yeah, so I think both teams went into this game not wanting a replay. Probably Middlesbrough more than us, but we've got a few injuries again at the moment. So Tielemans is out, Pau Torres is out, Buendia, Mings, Traore's at AFCON. So a few missing players. So it's kind of nice that this, we're only really expecting 3 games this month. So while a fourth wouldn't have been the end of the world, it's just an extra game that we kind of don't really need. But the game sort of went how maybe I expected it to. Middlesbrough sort of sat in their low block and we just tried to break them down and it just took us 85 minutes to do it. They had a couple of chances. Emi Martinez made a couple of saves. But it was just a day where we just had to be patient. It wasn't like the Burnley game where we dominated large portions of it, but were really vulnerable at points. We had a lot of the ball. We looked very much in control. We just kind of struggled to find the winner for a long time. Konza hit the post. We should have had a penalty. The referee didn't have a great game, and I think we've seen there's a few incidents that we've seen this weekend which show why we kind of need VAR, even in its sort of broken form that it is at the moment. But alas, we got the winner. Matty Cash, deflected goal. Shout out to Glover, the goalkeeper from Borough. Their second choice goalie had an absolute blinder. He was man of the match. Had a great performance. And it only took a deflected shot to go in. But you can see how much it meant to the Villa players for that goal to go in. It meant there wasn't a replay. And it was like there was like a relief of yes, we've finally broken them down. So, and that is also, I think, it's like 4 out of the last 5 games or something. We've scored a late goal that's earned us at least a point or a win. So that goes all the way back to Brentford. The only exception is the Man United game on Boxing Day. So last year we were in a really good habit of scoring early goals, especially at home. We scored in the first 5 minutes so many times last year. This year it's been scoring late goals and important late goals as well. That's been one of the stories of our season. So yeah, keep it up. It just makes things a little bit nervy.
Sure. Did you rotate the squad all that much, or doesn't sound like it based on
a lot stronger than I thought we'd go. So Robin Olsen's still injured, so Emi Martinez started. Yeah, pretty much full strength, other than John Duran, who may or may not be leaving. It looks like he's on the way out. And Leander Dendoncker. After that, it was pretty much as strong as it gets for us. Boubacar Kamara, absolutely excellent from his suspension. Brilliant performance in the middle of the park, and boy, have we missed him. But yeah, what about you, Dan? Because I feel like you always get a replay in the FA Cup. Do you ever win?
Yeah,
You get a
we always-
replay and lose. Like,
yeah, exactly. We'll draw away against like another championship team and then lose the home guys. It always seems to happen. Well, we came very close to winning. We were away at Hull, who having a good season. We've sung the praises of Liam Rosenior quite a bit on this podcast, and
yeah.
the theory that he was maybe the brains behind Wayne Rooney's derby, like I don't know,
Seems to be being proved right, I would say.
yeah, because Rosenior's doing really well. Not surprising. He's very smart. Seems like a very smart manager. But having said that, we were 1-0 up for most of the game. And I don't know if you've seen our goal, but I've watched it a few times, and it took me a few viewings to appreciate like how good it is. So like Gary Gardner does really well to win a strong header and gets the ball up to Jukovic, who brings the ball down, controls it, plays it out wide to Cody Dramer. So Jukovic's back starting again, which I'm never going to complain about. I know some people will, but I don't know. As long as I'm seeing Duke playing a blue shirt, I'm kind of okay with it. But he plays it out to Dramer, who's back in on the right wing. Who's playing right back. He bombs down the wing, puts a perfect cross in, and Duke has got into the box and met the return. And diving header, plants it perfectly in the bottom left-hand corner. Wicked goal, proper Blues, proper Duke. Really good goal for him to have like initiated the move and then had it returned to him by a great cross from Dramer. Really, really good. And it made up for the fact that Duke should have scored an easier chance with his left foot a few moments earlier, which he put just wide. But yeah, put us 1-0 up. His our first goal of 2024. First goal in like 4 games or something for Blues in general. And it seemed like the team just had a lift. Like, obviously, Steve Spooner took charge of this game. Mowbray didn't take charge of this one. Hadn't been announced at that point. But the team just, by all accounts, sounded a lot more up for it. Had a bit more energy about them. And by all accounts, actually defended really well for a lot of the game, which is not something I've been able to say a lot recently about Blues. Should have made it 2-0
sounds a lot like
after.
you were playing some no fear football, Dan.
Maybe. Is that what it took for it? Yeah, we should have made it 2-0 as well. Dembele had a great chance just after as well, where he hit the bar. And then we conceded a 87th minute goal. And I think Neil Etheridge is a good goalkeeper. I think he used to be a really good goalkeeper, but
yeah.
I feel like he does this a lot of Blues when he gets a chance to come in. Like, so he gets played in the cup and has had a few chances when Ruddy's been injured and stuff. And he played this game, and I feel like he does this quite a lot though. Like, he'll make a big mistake in a game that will cost us a goal. I can remember him I mentioned it on our 2023 review. He made a terrible one, against Blackpool in the league last season. I think that was him. But yeah, the balls came in and he's just completely fumbled the cross and they've scored. And the game goes to a replay. In the circumstance, a replay may not be the worst thing in the world. If obviously Mowbray's come in now, the game will probably be roughly this time next week. Who knows? An extra game could help the team just get going a bit more, get a few ideas going. So it might not be the worst thing in the world. Might be a better atmosphere than most. Like, I went to the Blackburn replay last year, and the atmosphere was dreadful. It was so bad. Hopefully, with a new manager coming in, be a bit of a bounce about the place. But we talked about Villa and you changing, or not changing the squad all that much. Blues made 7 changes, but I'll be honest, I actually didn't think the team was any worse. I actually thought if anything, it was maybe a slightly strong. Like, I wouldn't, in a league game at the moment, I wouldn't start Gardner. I probably wouldn't start Duke. I wouldn't start Duke just yet, I don't think, although I absolutely think he still has a role in the team. But no, I didn't actually think the team was much weaker, to be honest. Like, some of the changes I was actually in favour for. Kevin Long back in was good to see. Obviously, I'd start Ruddy ahead of Etheridge, but on the whole, changes. But I didn't really think the team was any weaker for it, and by all accounts played well. So hopefully, it's a good foundation to build on ahead of Mowbray's first game on Saturday.
Nice. And just think, Dan, with that extra game, the replay at home, think of the fireworks.
Oh, yeah.
Flamethrowers. You're going to get an extra game of that.
Oh, will they bother? I don't know. Oh, hopefully they do. But
for the magic of the cup, they should, yeah.
Yeah, Mowbray's first night game. Yeah, hopefully. And obviously it depends who. Obviously, as we say, we're a bit early, but the draw we may potentially get is in about half an hour. So who knows? Maybe something good on the line. I doubt it. People listening to this probably know that we have. I don't know, like Huddersfield. I know Huddersfield are out, but you know who I mean. Someone boring. But anyway, shall we move on to the what's coming up then?
Yes. So for the first time in what feels like ages, we're only doing a single game week. And I'm going to really enjoy it, the single game week.
Well, you have. We got Hull.
Yeah,
Although we'll
well,
probably do another episode.
we'll probably
before
talk
then.
about that briefly next week for what it's
Yeah,
worth.
true.
So,
Of course.
yeah, we're playing on Sunday on telly, Everton away. Been a really good hunting ground for us actually in the last few years. Especially, I don't think we've lost to Everton at all since we got promoted, and we've won all the away games. Oh no, that's not true. We drew the first one in the restart. We should have won it, and we didn't. We drew 1-1. We missed a great chance to go 2-1 up, and then we conceded a really unlucky sort of bouncy looping header. I think Theo Walcott scored that. Blimey. But anyway, we haven't lost to Everton since we got up, and we've done very well at Goodison Park. Even Steven Gerrard won there. So
wow.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, this will be a good test for us in terms of our away form, which, you know, jury's out on whether it's basically, you know, that they might end up back in the bottom three if we beat them. Who knows? Depends how the other results sort of go. So it's kind of a big game for them, but they've struggled at home. We've kind of struggled away, but I think we'll have enough to go over the line. But I think it'll be close, maybe a 2-1, something like that. It kind of depends how they come out at us. If they try and sit in like, and I feel like Sean Dyche will probably do this because he's quite pragmatic, where he'll sit like 11 men behind the ball and then maybe try and counter over the high line. So we'll see about that. But I think we'll have enough.
Cool. Very good. What was the result when you played them? Oh, you beat them. No, you played them in the cup as well this season, didn't you?
We played them. Yeah, this will be the third time that we've played them. So both at Villa Park, we won 1-4-0 and we lost 1-2-1, which was the cup where we played a joke team in the first half and then made a mess of it.
Fair enough. We have got, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we've got Swansea at home. But yeah, it'd be interesting because so Luke Williams is his name, was the Notts County manager. He's taking charge of his first game at Swansea, who are sitting just above Blues in 16th. Blues are 20th, I think. So yeah, they're a few points ahead of us. They're having a bit of a disappointing season relative to expectations. And even though they've got a new manager coming in and they could have that new manager bounce, I think the home advantage might just push us over the line with this one. Be interesting to see what kind of team he puts out. I wouldn't be shocked if it is kind of similar to the Hull game and a bit more back to basics. See the likes of Kevin Long back in there. Wouldn't shock me at all. Probably a 4-2-3-1 sort of lineup. I think would probably be wise. Be interesting to see if Hogan is like reintegrated. He got onto the bench and got on for a few minutes at the end of the Hull game, whereas under Rooney towards the end he didn't seem to be in his plans. And yeah, a narrow win, sort of first home game under the new manager. I could see. I think we'll just about carry us over the line, and hopefully lead to better things for the second half of the season. We drew Swansea 1-1 on the opening day, so it's been a while since we played them, and you can't really judge teams obviously on the opening day all that well. But yeah, gonna be a tight game. I think very interesting.
I want to get a prediction out of you, Dan. And we won't know the answer to this prediction for a while. But usually when you get a new manager come in, there'll be a player that all of a sudden flourishes kind of out of nowhere. So, like, if you take Unai Emery at Villa, it'd be Ollie Watkins. Under Rooney, you would say maybe Jordan James.
Yeah.
Even if everything's going badly around it, there's always one or maybe two players that it just works for them. You know, Gerrard, it was Jacob Ramsey. Who will be the surprise package that all of a sudden comes good under Tony Mowbray?
Dion Sanderson is my answer. Without having too long to think about it, Dion Sanderson, who's really lost his way a bit lately, but I think there's a very good player in there. He's the captain. I think if he can get back on the right track, he's got a big future at Blues. Yeah, Dion. Yeah. But as I mentioned earlier, no, I'm not going to say Hogan. No, I'm not going down that road again. No. No. Yeah, Dion. And I think big things to come from Cody Dramer as well. I think he had a shaky start at Blues, but he's played really well some games. I think the only thing holding him back is like once Ethan Laird's fit, he'll go back into the team. And but yeah, Dion Sanderson. Good question though.
Yeah,
that's a very good question.
If any of the Blue Noses watching, if you have anything different, just drop it in the comments. Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Shall we call it a night there, Carl?
Yeah, I think we've covered all bases really tonight, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a bit more back to normal this week, but yeah, we'll be back next week and we'll react to those games, I'm sure, and look ahead to the next games coming after that.
Yeah, well, we've got the winter break coming up, so.
Oh, of course, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
A week off. For Villa. Cool. If you have enjoyed this week's podcast, make sure you follow us on Twitter and TikTok.
Yeah, you can find us with the handle at Second City Pod. That's 2ND City Pod.
Awesome. Until next time, Cal, then, I guess.
Yeah, and remember, if this is the first time you've watched us or listened to us, subscribe, whatever platform you're on, especially if you're on YouTube. Leave a like, 5-star reviews, the whole shebang, because it helps the algorithm out and it helps us out, and it's free.
Yeah, big thanks again to everyone who's helped the podcast really gain some traction, and hopefully we can keep going in that direction. So yeah, awesome. Until next time, Cal.
Yeah, I'll catch you next week, Dan. Up the Villa.
Keep right on, and see you next time.